Top 10 Weird Things That Only Exist in North Korea. These aspects provide a glimpse into the unique and controlled environment within North Korea, showcasing some of the distinct and often unusual elements that exist within the country. Please note that the situation and circumstances in North Korea may have evolved since my last update, and there might be additional or changed elements within the country. North Korea remains a relatively closed-off country, and information about it is often limited, controlled, or subject to censorship. However, there have been reports and accounts of unique or unusual aspects specific to North Korea that differ from many other countries. Here are some examples. Mass Games. The Mass Games, also known as the Arang Festival, were a grandiose event held annually in North Korea, specifically in Pyongyang, the capital city. These games were one of the most significant and spectacular displays of mass performances in the world. Key features of the Mass Games included scale and participants. The Mass Games involved tens of thousands of performers, mostly students and children, who would participate in synchronized dances, gymnastics, and card displays. The performers would create intricate and mesmerizing mosaic-like images by holding up colored cards in a choreographed manner. Propaganda and ideological display. The event was a means for the North Korean government to promote its ideology, emphasizing themes of patriotism, loyalty to the ruling regime, and glorification of the country's leaders, particularly Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Elaborate choreography. The performances were highly choreographed, requiring extensive rehearsals and precision to create mesmerizing displays. They often included background music, which served to amplify the emotional impact of the performances. Visual spectacle. The Mass Games featured a mix of gymnastics, acrobatics, dance, and music, all synchronized to create large-scale, colorful, and intricate visuals. These visuals often depicted historical events, ideological themes, and scenes showcasing the country's achievements. Tourist attraction. The event was also open to foreign tourists, and it attracted visitors from around the world who were allowed to witness this unique and highly controlled spectacle. However, access for tourists was heavily regulated, and they were only permitted in designated areas. Temporary nature. The Mass Games were not held every year, and there were periods when they were suspended or not organized due to various reasons, such as economic difficulties or political changes within the country. In recent years, there have been periods when the Mass Games were not held, leading to speculation about their discontinuation or temporary suspension. However, the event had been a significant part of North Korean culture and propaganda, serving as a powerful tool for the regime to convey its messages and display its unity and discipline to both domestic and international audiences. Juche ideology. Juche is an ideology that serves as the foundational guiding principle of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, commonly known as North Korea. It was developed by North Korea's first leader, Kim Il-sung, and it continues to shape the country's governance, policies, and societal structure. The term Juche translates to self-reliance or self-determination in English. The ideology emphasizes several key principles. Self-reliance. Juche advocates for independence, self-sufficiency, and autonomy in all aspects of governance, economy, and national defense. It stresses the idea of not relying on external powers or influences. Nationalism and sovereignty. It promotes a strong sense of nationalism and the absolute sovereignty of the state. The ideology places the Korean people and the state's interests above all else. Political ideology. Juche serves as the official state ideology, emphasizing the primacy of the ruling Workers' Party of Korea and the ideology's role in shaping policies and societal norms. Kim Il-sung's leadership. The ideology often revolves around the leadership and teachings of Kim Il-sung, attributing a near-divine status to him as the eternal president and the founder of North Korea. Ideological indoctrination. Juche permeates all aspects of North Korean society, including education, media, and cultural expressions, through extensive propaganda efforts and indoctrination. Juche serves as the core ideological framework guiding North Korea's domestic and foreign policies. It is reinforced through state-controlled media, educational curricula, and cultural activities, all aimed at glorifying the leadership and promoting national unity around the ideology. Critics argue that Juche has been used to justify the isolationist policies of North Korea, leading to economic struggles, limited access to information, and a highly controlled society. However, proponents view Juche as a means of maintaining national identity and sovereignty in the face of perceived external threats and influences. Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il statues and portraits. Statues and portraits of North Korea's former leaders, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, are omnipresent throughout the country. They hold a significant place in North Korean society, and their images are revered with near religious devotion. Statues, enormous bronze statues of Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea and its first leader, and Kim Jong-il, his son and the country's second leader, are prominent features in various cities. The Mansudae Grand Monument in Pyongyang is one of the most notable locations, showcasing giant bronze statues of the leaders. People are required to pay their respects, often laying flowers or bowing before these statues as a sign of allegiance and respect. Portraits, images and portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il are displayed in public spaces, offices, schools, and even private homes. It is mandatory to have these portraits in households, and they must be treated with utmost respect. Citizens are expected to regularly clean and maintain these portraits, showcasing unwavering loyalty to the leaders. The glorification of the leaders through statues and portraits is a crucial component of the regime's cult of personality. The government ensures the constant presence of these images to reinforce their authority and portray them as revered figures in the eyes of the North Korean people. Failure to show proper respect or any form of disrespect towards these images can result in severe consequences, including imprisonment or punishment, as the regime strictly enforces reverence towards the leaders. These statues and portraits symbolize not just the leadership but also the state ideology of Juche, serving as a reminder of the eternal presence and guidance of the leaders in the lives of North Koreans. Pyongyang metro stations of the Pyongyang metro system in North Korea is notable for its unique and elaborate metro stations, often considered some of the most opulent and extravagant in the world. While public transportation in North Korea is generally limited and the country remains isolated, the Pyongyang metro stands out as a remarkable and meticulously designed underground transportation network. Key features of the Pyongyang metro stations include grandiose architecture. The stations are known for their lavish and ornate designs, featuring marble walls, chandeliers, mosaics, artwork, and intricate murals. The design elements often depict scenes glorifying the country's history, ideology, and leadership. Deep underground construction. Some stations are built deep underground, designed to serve as shelters in case of potential attacks or emergencies. The depth of these stations adds to their unique construction and architectural aspects. Artwork and propaganda. The metro stations display elaborate socialist realist art pieces, murals, and mosaics that portray scenes of North Korean achievements, loyalty to the regime, and patriotic themes. Images of leaders, including Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, are often depicted in these artworks. Chandeliers and lighting. The stations are adorned with chandeliers and well-designed lighting systems that add to the grandeur and aesthetics of the underground spaces. Limited accessibility for foreigners. While tourists are allowed to visit some of the metro stations, access for foreigners is often restricted to specific stations and supervised tours, with limitations on photography and movement within the system. Functional and symbolic use. Apart from their transportation function, the Pyongyang metro stations also serve as ideological symbols, reinforcing the regime's narratives and showcasing the country's perceived strength and prosperity. The Pyongyang metro is considered a showpiece for the regime, demonstrating the country's achievements and dedication to grand architectural projects. While providing transportation for citizens, these stations also serve as ideological tools to propagate the regime's message and ideology through visual displays and designs. Access to these stations for foreigners is limited and strictly controlled, often allowing only curated glimpses of this unique underground system. Limited access to information. In North Korea, access to information is tightly controlled by the government, which maintains a strict censorship regime and limits exposure to external influences. Several factors contribute to the extreme limitations on information access. State-controlled media. All forms of media, including newspapers, television, radio, and the internet, are tightly controlled by the government. The content is heavily censored and serves as a tool for state propaganda, glorifying the regime and its leaders while denouncing outside influences. Limited internet access. The majority of North Korean citizens do not have access to the global internet. Instead, they have a state-controlled intranet called Kwangmyeong, which offers a highly restricted and curated selection of information approved by the government. Severe punishment for unauthorized information, possession or consumption of unauthorized foreign media, such as films, books, or news from outside North Korea, is strictly prohibited and can lead to severe penalties, including imprisonment, forced labor camps, or even execution. Restricted communication with the outside world. Communication with individuals outside North Korea is highly controlled. Foreign phone calls or any form of international communication are closely monitored, and there are limitations on international travel for ordinary citizens. Education and indoctrination. The education system in North Korea emphasizes loyalty to the regime and indoctrinates citizens with state propaganda from a young age. School curricula are designed to instill unwavering support for the ruling Kim family and the country's ideology. Information filtering and surveillance. The government employs a sophisticated system of information filtering and surveillance, monitoring communication and online activities to prevent the spread of unauthorized information or dissent. As a result of these measures, North Koreans have extremely limited access to unbiased or uncensored information about the outside world. The government's control over information aims to maintain ideological purity, control dissent, and reinforce loyalty to the regime. Arang Festival. The Arang Festival, also known as the Arang Mass Games, was a grand-scale event held annually in North Korea, primarily in Pyongyang, the capital city. It was one of the most significant and spectacular performances in the world, involving tens of thousands of participants. Key features of the Arang Festival included massive synchronized performances. The festival featured highly choreographed performances involving thousands of participants, including schoolchildren and gymnasts. These performances showcased synchronized movements, gymnastics, acrobatics, and card stunts forming intricate and colorful displays. Glorification of the regime. The event served as a propaganda tool to glorify North Korea's leadership, particularly the ruling Kim family, and to showcase the country's achievements and ideology. Images and messages praising the leadership and the Juche ideology were often displayed during the performances. Elaborate set design. The festival's performances took place in large stadiums or arenas with meticulously designed sets, colorful costumes, and intricate backdrops. The visuals were carefully orchestrated to create impressive and captivating displays. Arang theme. The festival derived its name from the famous Korean folk song Arang, which was often featured prominently during the performances. The song symbolizes the Korean spirit and has various regional variations. Tourist attraction. Foreign tourists were allowed to attend the Arang Festival, providing them with a unique opportunity to witness this highly orchestrated event. However, access for tourists was controlled, and they were only permitted in designated areas. In recent years, there have been periods when the Arang Festival was not held, leading to speculation about its discontinuation or temporary suspension. The event had been an essential part of North Korean culture and propaganda, serving as a powerful tool for the regime to convey its messages and display unity and discipline both domestically and internationally. The festival's performances were known for their precision, scale, and visual impact, serving the dual purpose of entertainment and propaganda. However, changes in leadership, economic factors, or other internal circumstances might have led to the fluctuation in the festival's regularity in recent times. Strict controls on media and communication. North Korea maintains stringent controls on media and communication, tightly regulating information flow within the country and restricting access to outside sources. These controls serve as a means for the regime to maintain ideological purity, suppress dissent, and reinforce loyalty to the ruling leadership. Here are some key aspects of the strict controls on media and communication in North Korea. State-controlled media. All forms of media, newspapers, television, radio, and the internet, are strictly controlled by the government. The content is heavily censored and serves as a tool for state propaganda, glorifying the regime, and promoting its ideologies while vilifying perceived external threats. Limited access to the internet. The majority of North Korean citizens do not have access to the global internet. Instead, they have a state-controlled intranet called Pyongyang, which provides a highly curated selection of information approved by the government. Access to the global internet is restricted to a select few within the government and high-ranking officials. Censorship and filtering. The government employs sophisticated censorship mechanisms to filter out any content deemed subversive or critical of the regime. Access to foreign websites, social media platforms, and unauthorized information sources is strictly prohibited. Propaganda and indoctrination. The media is used as a tool for indoctrination, promoting state-approved narratives and praising the leadership of the Kim family. Citizens are exposed to constant propaganda through various mediums, including posters, billboards, and public announcements. Limited communication with the outside world. Communication with individuals outside North Korea is highly restricted. Foreign phone calls or any form of international communication are closely monitored, and there are limitations on international travel for ordinary citizens. Severe punishment for unauthorized information, possession or consumption of unauthorized foreign media, such as films, books, or news from outside North Korea, is strictly prohibited and can lead to severe penalties, including imprisonment, forced labor camps, or even execution. These controls on media and communication aim to isolate the population from external influences, maintaining the regime's grip on power by controlling the flow of information and ensuring that citizens are exposed solely to state-approved narratives and propaganda. Access to unbiased or uncensored information about the outside world is extremely limited for ordinary North Korean citizens. Mansudae Grand Monument. The Mansudae Grand Monument is a significant landmark located in Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea. It is a prominent site featuring massive bronze statues of North Korea's founding leader, Kim Il-sung, and his son and successor, Kim Jong-il. Key features of the Mansudae Grand Monument include giant bronze statues. The monument showcases larger-than-life bronze statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Kim Il-sung, the country's founder and considered the eternal president, is depicted in a standing pose while Kim Jong-il, known as the eternal general secretary, stands beside him. Symbolism and representation. The statues symbolize the reverence and adulation accorded to the country's leaders, depicting them in a dignified and authoritative manner. Citizens are required to pay their respects regularly by laying flowers or bowing before the statues as a sign of allegiance and respect. Significance and ideological importance. The monument holds immense ideological significance within North Korea. It serves as a focal point for citizens to display loyalty and devotion to the ruling Kim family and the country's ideology. Location. Situated in a prominent area of Pyongyang, the Mansudae Grand Monument is a destination for both domestic and foreign visitors. It is often included in official tours and represents a symbol of national pride. Maintenance and reverence. The statues are meticulously maintained, and it is mandatory for citizens to participate in the regular cleaning and maintenance of the monument as a display of loyalty to the leadership. The Mansudae Grand Monument is one of several sites in North Korea that glorify and immortalize the leaders of the Kim dynasty. It stands as a symbol of the regime's authority and serves as a reminder of the eternal presence and guidance of the leaders in the lives of North Koreans. The monument reinforces the regime's cult of personality, emphasizing the enduring legacy of the Kim family's leadership. Military parades in North Korea are highly orchestrated events that showcase the country's military strength, serving as a demonstration of power and a means of propaganda. These parades are often grandiose, meticulously choreographed displays that feature troops, weaponry, and various military equipment. Key features of North Korea's military parades include scale and precision. The parades involve large numbers of soldiers, showcasing their discipline and precision in marching. Troops often display intricate formations and synchronized movements. Weaponry and equipment display. The parades highlight North Korea's military hardware, including missiles, tanks, artillery, and other advanced weaponry. The display of these weapons aims to project strength and deterrence. Leaders' inspection. During the parades, the country's leaders, such as Kim Jong-un, review the troops. This presence emphasizes the leadership's control over the military and reinforces the regime's authority. Nationalism and propaganda. The parades are accompanied by patriotic music and speeches glorifying the regime, the ruling party, and the country's ideology. They serve as a spectacle to inspire nationalistic fervor among the citizens. Occasional anniversaries or celebrations. Military parades often coincide with significant dates in North Korea, such as national holidays, the birthdays of the Kim family leaders, or important historical anniversaries. These parades are extensively covered by state-controlled media and serve as a way to showcase North Korea's military capabilities to both domestic and international audiences. They also reinforce the country's military-first policy, known as Sungun, which prioritizes the military in national affairs. Limited foreign interaction. North Korea is known for its limited interaction with the outside world, maintaining strict controls on international engagement, travel, and communication. This isolationist approach is part of the country's strategy to maintain regime control, restrict external influences, and reinforce its ideological stance. Key aspects of North Korea's limited foreign interaction include restricted international travel. Ordinary citizens face significant restrictions on traveling abroad. Travel outside the country requires government approval, and most citizens are not permitted to travel without official authorization. The government controls passports and exit visas tightly. Controlled interaction with foreigners. Interaction with foreigners is highly regulated. North Koreans are discouraged from engaging with outsiders, and contact with foreign visitors or residents is usually monitored. Foreigners' movements within the country are also strictly controlled, typically with government-assigned guides. Limited diplomatic relations. North Korea maintains diplomatic relations with a select number of countries. However, its relationships are often strained due to its isolationist policies, provocative actions, and nuclear ambitions. Restricted access for journalists and researchers. Access for foreign journalists and researchers to gather information inside North Korea is tightly controlled. Visits and reporting activities are subject to strict government oversight and censorship. Controlled tourism. Tourism in North Korea is highly regulated. Visitors are usually allowed only in designated areas and are accompanied by government-appointed guides throughout their stay. They are provided with a controlled and sanitized view of the country. Limited economic integration. North Korea has limited economic integration with the global economy. Trade relations are constrained, and the country faces economic sanctions due to its nuclear program and human rights violations. This isolationist approach is in line with the regime's self-reliance ideology, Juche, and serves to maintain strict control over its population, prevent the influx of external ideas or influences that might challenge the regime's authority, and protect against potential threats to its leadership. While there have been instances of diplomatic engagements and talks with other countries, North Korea's overall strategy emphasizes self-sufficiency, limited engagement, and maintaining a guarded stance toward the outside world. These aspects provide a glimpse into the unique and controlled environment within North Korea, showcasing some of the distinct and often unusual elements that exist within the country. Please note that the situation and circumstances in North Korea may have evolved since my last update, and there might be additional or changed elements within the country.